first is Crocos theorem. So I gave you introduction about Crocos number there in isentropic flow. So Crocos theorem, then followed by the potential equation for compressible flow, then linearized velocity potential function, then we'll go for small perturbation theory, because when we are solving the three-dimensional flow, it will be a nonlinear equation. To solve the nonlinear equation, we have to make some assumptions. So we will use the assumption of small perturbation theory in that case. So that is known as small perturbation theory. Then we'll see the linearized pressure coefficient for both the cases, subsonic and the supersonic flow condition. So first case is Crocos theorem. Basically, Crocos theorem gives a relationship between the rate of change of entropy in a high-speed flow with the rate of change of rotation, or we can say it directly relates the rate of change of entropy with the vorticity present in the flow field. So when we are considering any flow field, we have to fix a certain region that is known as control volume or control surface. So this, let's suppose it is a flow, and in that flow I have considered a very small element. So when you are considering any small element, so when flow is traveling, it will be making some sort of lines that may be path lines, stream lines, or streak lines. In most of the cases, when we are making our problem steady, there will be no difference between streamline, path line, or timelines. All lines will be treated as one. So when we are talking about the flow velocity, whenever we are going to find out, it will be finding out with the help of streamlines. So let us consider two streamlines between which flow is taking place. So here are the two streamlines between which a flow is happening, and I have considered a small element here. So this is the small element, dotted line showing the small element. So this is the cross section 1, and this is the cross section 2. Pressure acting at first entry is P, and pressure acting at the outlet is P plus dP. So there is a very small infinitesimal change in pressure, due to which there is a flow. So flow is happening in one dimension. So when flow is happening in one dimension, all properties will be varying only in this particular direction. There will be no change in another direction. Or you can say, from the definition of stream line, this is one of the properties of streamline, that there will be no cross flow across the streamline. So at a perpendicular direction, there will be no change in any kind of property. So no net change in property in perpendicular direction is 0. So let's suppose consider two-dimensional steady inviscid flow in a natural coordinate system, such that this L is along the streamline direction and N is perpendicular to the L direction. What are the advantages of considering this? My problem will become now one-dimensional, almost one-dimensional. So I will be applying all the continuity, momentum, energy equation only in one direction. So that means along the streamline. So we can apply now continuity equation. Let us consider the unit width in third direction. That is, thickness is unity. We have made our problem is two-dimensional. Thickness is unity. So when you are applying the continuity equation, that will be density area into velocity. So we have assumed here velocity is v, which is directed along the streamline. So when we have drawn a tangent over this point, right, which is giving us direction of the resultant velocity. This is v, and this delta n is the this width of these two streamlines, and thickness we are assuming as 1. So area will be delta n into 1 basically. So here delta n into 1 is the area, and density into velocity, which is constant. This is equation number 1. Now I will apply the momentum equation. First was the continuity equation, now momentum equation. So when we are applying the momentum equation, which statement says that algebraic summation of all the forces acting in the flow direction is equal to the rate of change of momentum. Or you can say the mass flow rate of change in velocity is equal to the summation of algebraic summation of all the forces. So basically we are considering only one force, that is the pressure force. So we will equate these two forces equal to the rate of change of momentum. So P minus P plus dP delta n is equal to this is the pressure into area, so became force is equal to mass flow rate into change in velocity, right? So mass flow rate already we know from the continuity equation, so we'll substitute this value here, rho v into delta n into delta v. So once we equate this, after equating this, I can get minus dp is equal to rho v delta v. This can also be written, this simple equation can also be written in along the streamline direction by dividing by delta L. So differential form we can write the same equation. So rho V and dou V divided by dou L is equal to minus dou P by dou L. So this dou P by dou L is the pressure gradient across the streamline direction. So this is my equation number 3. So now if we apply the momentum equation in perpendicular direction, as I said, perpendicular direction there is no flow, so change in velocity dv is equal to 0 in perpendicular direction. But as steam, if you look at this diagram, steam tubes are curved, so flow is getting turned, so there will be centrifugal force acting along this curvature, so that need to be addressed. Let's suppose the first streamline situated at r distance from some arbitrary center line, center point somewhere it will be. From there, it is the distance is r, radial distance is r. So we need to consider the centrifugal effect in the n direction. It will be acting in n direction only. So centrifugal effect in n direction is equal to density v square divided by r. This is centrifugal force that is happening due to the pressure difference in n direction. So minus dp divided by dou n. This is equation number 4. Now I apply the energy equation. So energy equation is simple statement, h plus b square by 2 is equal to h naught. So this is my energy equation. So all the 3 equations are over. Now I will play with the entropy, because I need to relate entropy with the vorticity. So I will use the TDS relation for open system. So TDS is equal to dH minus VdP. This is the statement for the open system, where this small v is the specific volume. So specific volume is inversely proportional to the density. So I can write this dH minus dP by rho. This is equation number 6. Now if we differentiate this energy equation, right, to form a differential form, like this dH is present here, so I need to write the dH value here. So if you differentiate the equation number 5th, this will become dH plus v dv is equal to dH naught, right? dH naught, where total entropy is constant, so any difference will be 0 for that case. So now I will use this equation dH plus v dv is equal to dH naught in equation number 6. So substituting the value, if we substitute the value, this dH is equal to dH naught minus v dv here in this term, or in this term, I can get this relation. So this is TDS is equal to minus v dv plus dp by rho plus dH naught. So this is one equation, TDS equation. Now I have to relate this TDS equation along the flow direction and perpendicular direction of the flow. So let's suppose along the flow direction, change in entropy I can write as a T dou S y dou L. So this is along the streamline direction is equal to all this velocity dou v by dou L plus 1 y rho dou p by dou L. And this is, as I said, total enthalpy along the flow direction is same, so there will be no change in dH naught along the flow, so this is going to be 0. Second term is going to be 0. Now perpendicular to the flow direction, I can write T dou S by dou N is equal to this bracket term again in a similar way, dou V by dou N plus 1 y rho dou P by dou N plus dH naught by dou N. Now as already I know the value of dou P by dou L, that is equation number 3. You look at here, already I know the value of dou P by dou L, alright, and dou P by dou N also I know, this is rho V square by 2. So by substituting dou P by dou L and dou P by dou N in these two equations, I can get 2 more equations, which is T dou S by dou L is equal to 0. This is equation number C. And another equation I am getting something like this, perpendicular direction I am getting something that is minus V dou V by dou N minus V by R plus dH naught by Tn. This term basically, this term is nothing but the vorticity component. this change in velocity, perpendicular direction is coming due to the vorticity. So change in velocity in perpendicular direction will induce some sort of rotation in the domain. So rotation will convert into the vorticity. So this is the another form of vorticity. So yes, so we can write the same equation, this equation, because first equation is almost zero, so entropy is constant along the flow direction. But perpendicular direction, I am getting something change in entropy. So I can write the equation in this way: T dou s by dou n is equal to dh naught by dn plus v into xi. So xi is vorticity. So this minus sign and this complete bracket term is my vorticity term. This is known as Cock's theorem for two-dimensional flow. So from this equation, I can say rotation depends on the this vorticity. Basically, xi depends on the rate of change of entropy as well as the stagnation enthalpy normal to the flow direction, because this n is a normal to the flow direction, normal to the streamlines, right? And where this xi is a vorticity, which is given as v by r minus dou v by dou n. This is known as vorticity. So this is a very simple derivation of Crocos theorem. Crocos theorem relates rate of change of entropy with the vorticity along the streamline. So circulation. So once we know that, so circulation is the tangential component, line integral of tangential component of velocity taken around any closed curve. So which is here closed circle, closed integration v into dl. dl is the informational length along the stream line. So this is known as nothing but you can say the tangential component of velocity taken around a closed curve. So which is also equal to the surface integral of curl of velocity vector into ds, which can further be written as surface integral of vorticity into ds. So what is vorticity? Vorticity is the curl of velocity vector, which can also written as xi x, xi y. These are the vorticity components along x, y, and z that we know from uv and w component. Xi z is equal to dou v by dou x minus dou u by dou y. Similarly, xi y and xi x can also be written. So two conditions need to be satisfied in order to have a frictionless flow, or we can say isentropic flow. That means h naught should be constant throughout the flow. Second, vorticity should be zero throughout the flow. If these two conditions satisfies, in that case we can say it is a frictionless isentropic flow, right? So isentropic flow property says that it is a viscid, irrotational, incompressible flow. These are the requisite condition to satisfy a flow to be isentropic. So h naught is constant and xi is equal to 0. This information we got from the Crocos theorem. Now if we look at the potential equation for a compressible flow, so general equation, potential equation we will derive. So first we will consider only three fundamental equation: continuity, momentum, and energy. So from the continuity equation, we know that for three-dimensional flow, I can say divergence of density into velocity vector is equal to 0. Or we can say dou y dou x rho u plus dou y dou y rho v plus dou y dou z rho w is equal to 0. This is my equation number 1. So this is the continuity equation I applied. Now I will apply the momentum equation. So from the Euler's equation of motion, I can write these three equations in three different directions. So this is first equation, that is rho u dou u by dou x v dou u by dou y plus w dou u by dou z is equal to minus dou p by dou x. That is the one. The secondly, in terms of y, in direction of y, and then in direction of z, I can write same equations. So in first case, everywhere I used u because I was considering flow along x direction. So velocity component in x direction is only small u. Similarly, second case, when I am writing with respect to y, my velocity components will be small v, right? When I am writing along z, it will be w alone. So I got this cumulative three equations, right, for the momentum, the single equation for continuity. So for incompressible flow, already we know density is constant. So these equations are sufficient. Which equation? These three equations and this one equation put together, 4 equations are sufficient to find out the unknown parameters u, v, w and p. So all 4 can be solved. That is the case of very simple case of incompressible flow. But we are dealing with the compressible flows. In compressible flow, density cannot be treated as constant. So density is also unknown. So that means now we are having a total 5 unknown parameters. So in order to solve 5 unknown parameters, 4 equations will not be sufficient. So we need one extra equation from the equation of state. So this is the equation of state for isentropic flow, that is P v to the power gamma is equal to constant. So this additional equation, if I add along with those 4 equations, I can solve for these 5 different unknown parameters. So introducing this term, so I know u, v, w in terms of potential function. So u is equal to dou phi by dou x, v is equal to dou phi by dou y, and w is equal to dou phi by dou z. So if I substitute these values of u, v, w where in these equations, these 3 equations of Euler's equation of motion, I can write the equation in this way. So first equation is here, right? This is the basically continuity equation. Simple one equation I will get, and then in Euler's energy equation I will get 3 different form of equations which are here. So for isentropic flow, density depends only on pressure, right? So change in density with respect to x, if I want to write, that will be written as change in density divided by dp and dou p by dou x, because density is varying with respect to pressure change only in x direction. So dou rho y dou x is equal to dou p by dou x and dou rho y dou p. This dou rho y dou p is nothing but this term appears in the speed of sound. So a square is equal to dp by d rho. So if I substitute this value here, I can relate dou rho y dou x, right, is equal to this complete term is equal to 1 by a square, and dou p by dou x I will take from where, from the this equation I will get the value of dou p by dou x, and I will substitute there, here. So this complete term is dou p by dou x, which I kept it here. Similarly, 2 more equations can be written along y direction and z direction. So so from this, so equation number 3, this continuity equation that already we know. So if we combine these 3, right, in the equation B, if we club together, we can get the fundamental equation here in terms of u, v. Single equation I can get if I substitute the value of this complete dou p by dou x and everything here, dou rho y dou x and dou rho y dou y and dou rho y dou z. If I substitute the value of these 3 parameters in equation number 3, I will get a relationship which will be accounting for pressure gradient along x, y, z direction, as well as velocity gradient along x, y, z direction. So after substituting all these values, I will get very simple equation which is here. So u divided by a, this is local velocity divided by speed of sound. So I can say the Mach number along x direction. This is the Mach number across y direction, and this is the Mach number along z direction. So like that I can write, and this all dou u y, dou y, dou v y, dou x I can relate with respect to the phi. So after putting all the values, I can relate in this way. So 1 minus phi x, this u, if I am saying u is equal to dou phi by dou x is known as phi x. So phi x square divided by a square, right, and plus this term, this is the double derivative of dou phi by dou x. So phi xx I can write, dou u by dou x become phi xx. Similarly, so second bracket can also be written 1 minus phi y square divided by a square. This is the phi yy, and then for phi z, then minus 2 times this. These are repeating terms. If you look at 2 times, they are repeating. So 2 times phi x, phi y divided by a square, right, and phi xy. Similarly, phi yz by a square, this complete term will come is equal to 0. So this cumulative equation is known as linearized potential function equation. But in nature, it is basically a non-linear equation. So when we are solving this, we need to put some assumptions. So assumption will be small perturbation velocity. So velocity changes will be negligibly small, right? That we need to consider when we are solving this. So as I said, this u by a is Mach number along x direction, y direction. So the same equation can also be written in terms of Mach number in this way. So this is in terms of Mach number. So these two equations are needed, right? Directly formula based some problems may be asked based on these two equations. So let this then go to the small perturbation. So now we need to solve this equation. So small perturbation theory, we need to make it a linearized solution of this equation, nonlinear equation. So the general equation of compressible flow, as we have seen, is a non-linear. So we need to solve this by making a flow linear. So that means flow as a two-dimensional flow. So two-dimensional flow field will be happening around the airfoil, right? That airfoil, that is known as planar bodies or cylinder bodies, or bodies like wing, where one dimensional is smaller than the other, called planar bodies. These bodies introduce small disturbances, right, or distribution, that is called perturbations on the surface. So what are the assumptions? Basically, consider an airfoil. This is airfoil over which a flow is taking place. These are all the streamlines. So streamlines will give the direction of the resultant velocity vector, which is here. So it's traveling with velocity v. Before coming into contact with the surface, free stream velocity is v infinity. That is called uniform flow velocity. So the moment it is striking over the surface, it is following the curvature, there will be some international change in velocity. So let's suppose very small increase in velocity is taking place. So let's suppose this is u dash, v dash and w dash are the small perturbations change in velocity in x, y and z direction. So if we are writing equation for x direction alone, that will be vx, that is nothing but free stream velocity which was coming here, plus a small change in velocity in x direction. This is u dash. Now vy, as there is no v infinity in y direction, so there will be very small jump in velocity in y direction, which is v dash. Similarly, in z direction, vz is equal to w dash, where these are all small perturbation velocities in x, y and z direction. So in that equation where we were using only simply u, v and w, instead of u, we need to write this complete term v infinity plus u dash and v dash and w dash to replace all those terms. So in the uniform flow, if we are saying uniform flow, one dimensional flow, in that case vx will be v infinity and both the components vy and vz will be 0, right? So pressure, temperature and density in perturbation flow and uniform flow, or let's suppose they are different, because in free stream pressure will be different and pressure on the surface will be different. So p, t, rho are the pressure, temperature, density in perturbed flow, and p infinity, t infinity and rho infinity are the pressure, temperature and density in free stream flow. So now we'll go for the velocity potential. Velocity potential is given by the divergence of phi. Divergence of phi is velocity vector. So velocity vector is ui plus vj plus wk. Now u means velocity in x direction, which is nothing but v infinity plus u dash, and u v small v is equal to v dash, and w is equal to w dash. That need to be kept here. So ui, vj and wk. I have written equation number 1, where u dash is equal to dou phi by dou x and v dash is equal to dou phi by dou y. So w dash is equal to dou phi by dou z. Here phi is the you can say potential function for perturbed flow. Keep in mind, this for small disturbances. This is the phi. So overall phi for the entire flow is dark phi, which is written here. This is for entire flow. This is not for a perturbed flow. For entire flow, free stream plus perturbed is given by this dark phi xyz is equal to v infinity into x plus phi of xyz. Phi, this is small phi, this is for perturbed flow. Perturbed flow I have written here. So v infinity x plus phi xyz. This is equation number 2. So in that way it is related. So phi x when you are writing, so this is a free stream velocity into x plus a small change in phi. If you add this, that will become total phi of the flow in the case of flow over the planar body. So when we are writing these equations, right, we have to use dark phi. So where Vx already we know that is V infinity plus U dash. V infinity U dash is equal to small dou phi by dou x, which I has written here. Similarly, Vy is equal to V infinity, that is nothing but small dou phi by dou y, which is equal to dark dou phi divided by dou y. Similarly, Vz, if we are writing dou phi by dou z, that is small dou phi by dou z. So similarly, double derivative can also be written. So if we are writing for phi x, that is the phi x, right? So phi double x, so double derivative of this can be written. So dou square phi by dou x square, and phi yy for this case, dou square phi by dou y square, and phi zz for this case, dou square phi by dou z square. Now I know phi x is phi yy, phi z. I know vx, vy, vz, right? So I can substitute all these values in that first equation which was here. So in this equation I can substitute all these values, right? So when I'm substituting all these values here, I will get this form of equation, this kind of equation finally. So if I arrange all these terms, furthermore simplification can be done, right? So this complete form is known as the same linearized potential function equation for perturbed flow, or we can say it is called perturbation velocity potential function. So this is the second case. Now we'll go for linear pressure coefficient. We need to find out the pressure coefficient for linearized flow. So we know the pressure coefficient is given as P minus P infinity divided by half rho B infinity square, where P is the local pressure and P infinity is the free stream pressure, right? This is the free stream density, this is the free stream velocity. But we know this dynamic head half rho infinity V infinity square, we need to relate this with the Mach number. So half rho infinity V infinity square is nothing but half gamma times of P infinity M infinity square. So by substituting this value here, I can relate Cp in terms of Mach number and pressure ratio. So if I substitute this value, this will become 2 divided by gamma M infinity square, this is a common. If I divide with the P infinity here, I can write P by P infinity minus 1. Right. Now, if I know this pressure ratio value, right, in terms of Mach number, I can substitute it here, right, to make a very simple equation of Cp in terms of Mach number or flow deflection angle. So for a calorically perfect gas, I can write this equation. This is nothing but an energy equation, right? H plus C square by 2 is equal to H infinity plus C infinity square by 2. Then you put Cp, so that why the Cp is coming. So T plus V square by 2 Cp plus T infinity plus B infinity square divided by 2 Cp. So this is the free stream, this is the local parameters, local pressure on the body. So from here I can write T by T infinity minus 1. So by dividing by T by T infinity minus 1, I can write. So this equation will become something like this: gamma minus 1 by 2 b infinity square minus b square divided by gamma RT infinity. This is gamma RT infinity is speed of sound. So I can write here speed of sound a infinity square. And now you look at these terms. This is the velocity vector, local velocity vector. So when you are considering the small perturbations, so that means u, v and w. U component will have a small perturbation included in free stream velocity. So this is the local velocity vector. If you are writing, this will be v infinity plus u dash square plus b dash square plus w dash square. So when we are writing this v square, we need to substitute this complete value here. So if you substitute this value, complete value in this bracket, if you solve this, you will get this kind of equation. That is 1 minus gamma 2 a infinity square and this complete bracket term. So as we have assumed that flow is isentropic, so isentropic relations can be used. So this is the temperature ratio. So I can get the pressure ratio now. So pressure ratio is equal to temperature ratio to the power gamma upon gamma minus 1. So this complete term, if I substitute here over gamma upon gamma minus 1, so this equation I got, right? Finally, if you solve this, it will become like this. As we know, u dash, v dash, and w dash are very small change in velocity. So if I divide those small change in velocity by the free stream velocity, value will be negligibly small, can be neglected. So you look at this, u dash by v infinity is very small. So squaring of these terms will be neglected. So I will be considering only u dash by v infinity, but u square divided by u dash square divided by v infinity square can be neglected. So this complete term is going to be neglected. I will get only one term here. Then I will apply the De Moivre theorem to expand it. So this gamma upon gamma minus 1 will come here. So that will also be cancelled out. So this term, this complete term, if I say epsilon, right, 1 minus epsilon to the power something gamma upon gamma minus 1. So I can write here p by p infinity is equal to 1 minus epsilon to the power gamma upon gamma minus. Then using the binomial expansion, I can solve this. So p by p infinity 1 minus gamma upon gamma minus 1 epsilon plus higher order terms can be neglected, because this will be squaring of this. So squaring of a small perturbation and then fourth power of a small perturbation can be neglected as per the assumptions of small perturbations. So after that, if I substitute the value here, right, and if I solve this, this term is going to be 0. This complete term is going to be 0. I will get only these two terms of p by p infinity. Now take this p by p infinity, this value, and substitute in equation number 1, that is in CP equation. If you substitute it there, right, you will get a very simple expression, that is Cp is equal to minus 2u dash divided by v infinity, and this second term, this is a whole square, so this can be neglected. So for small perturbation, I will get Cp value is equal to minus 2u dash divided by v infinity. This is known as linearized pressure coefficient. It is valid for a small perturbation. So wherever there is a small perturbation, I can use this simple formula of Cp to find out the values of Cp. So this I am not going to cover. So I will give you direct formula of Cp in terms of compressible and incompressible. So here Cp naught is the incompressible pressure coefficient and Cp is the compressible pressure coefficient. So compressible pressure coefficient is related to the incompressible pressure coefficient by this term 1 divided by under root 1 minus m infinity square. This is known as the Prandtl-Gilbert rule. Then similarly, as we have related Cp with Cp naught by this factor, so Cl and Cd can also be related in that way. So Cl is equal to Cl naught divided by same factors under root 1 minus m infinity square. Cm is equal to Cm naught divided by under root 1 minus m infinity square. Linearized supersonic flow. In linear supersonic flow, if we look at the pressure coefficient, so here pressure coefficient is almost the same equation, minus 2 times of u dash divided by v infinity. Here u dash is related to the flow deflection, so theta. So here it will be Cp is equal to 2 times of theta under root m infinity square minus 1. Now as flow is supersonic, so this term should be positive. So I cannot use 1 minus m infinity square. So I am using m infinity square minus 1. Right. So this is applicable for linearized supersonic flow. Right. So this is two kind of flow geometry will be there. Look at this. This is the left running Mach waves, right, on the top surface. At bottom surface is the right running Mach waves or Mach lines. So for right running Mach wave, slope will be negative, and for left running Mach wave, slope will be positive. So in one case, Cp will be positive, another case Cp will be negative. All right. So look at here. That's why two terms are written. So this is for top surface. This is for bottom surface. So bottom surface Cp will be minus 2 times of theta under root m infinity square minus 1. For top surface is 2 theta divided by under root m infinity square minus 1. So if we draw the variation of CP with the Mach number, it will be something like this. So CP for subsonic, especially this is for supersonic. Subsonic it will vary like this, and for supersonic it will vary like this. So variation is almost symmetric, but thing is that Mach number values are different. For subsonic it will be lying less than 1, for supersonic it is greater than 1. Variation is almost same. Okay, so next is a critical Mach number. So critical Mach number, it is defined as the free stream Mach number at which flow over an airfoil fast reaches a sonic velocity. So it is a value of free stream Mach number when flow comes into contact with the airfoil. It 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 accelerates very fastly to attain a sonic speed. So let's suppose this is the first case when our free stream Mach number is 0.3. Consider a point on the top surface where we are measuring the velocity. So at point 3, the local Mach number is coming only 0.435. If further increase in Mach number, free stream Mach number to 0.5, I am getting something called 0.772. So then if we increase to 0.61, at this Mach number, I am getting a Mach number at the same point approximately equal to the Mach number is equal to 1. So the free stream Mach number at which we get a sonic velocity on the top surface on the airfoil, that free stream, in that case, that free stream Mach number is known as critical Mach number. So in this, for a given airfoil, the critical Mach number may have different value. So here in this particular case, critical Mach number is 0.61. So how to calculate the value of critical Mach number analytically? This is experimentally, by simple experiment we have done, and we have found out that for given geometry, this is the critical Mach number. Now, how to find out the critical Mach number? So we will calculate by using standard isentropic relations. So consider 2 points. One is the free stream point, that is free stream point far away from the airfoil. Another point on the surface of the airfoil, where properties are local properties, right? So the ratio of local pressure to the free stream pressure, I can relate by this equation. So one time I can write a PA by P naught, that means the local point and stagnation point, then a free stream pressure point, free stream point, and a stagnation point. So I can write two equations here. So PA by P naught and P infinity by P naught, if we divide these two, I can get this relation in terms of Mach number. So at point A, when we are talking about only at point A, so at point A, my Mach number is equal to 1. That means MA becomes 1. So at point A, if we are writing CP value, how to write CP value? CP value, this is the dynamic pressure term, 2 divided by gamma infinity square. This is the pressure ratio, P by P infinity minus 1. So this is P by P infinity, already I know, I can substitute here. Clear? So now at point A, MA is equal to 1. So in this equation, if you put MA is equal to 1, and free stream Mach number will become the critical Mach number, right? At which MA becomes 1. So M infinity, if I replace by MCR, and MA is equal to 1, so I can get this equation, right? This equation, and from this equation, I can get the critical Mach number, right? By knowing the CP value. So CP becomes CP critical. So if I plot it, right, for a given Mach number, free upstream Mach number, CP versus upstream Mach number, I will get this kind of variation for CP critical. CP critical. And this line is our Prandtl-Galois rule, right, where CP compressible related to the CP of incompressible y under root 1 minus infinity square. This is the Galois rule, and this is the CP critical value. If I plot these two variations, the point of intersection of these two curves will give us the critical Mach number experimentally. So CP critical is a unique function of critical Mach number. How we are saying? We are saying from this equation, CP critical is a unique function of critical Mach number. That's the first point. So this variation can be plotted. Intersection point of the curve of Galois, Prandtl-Galois line, and this CP critical curve will give the critical Mach number. The curve C is unique and does not depend on the geometry of the shape. This curve is unique. It does not depend on the geometry of the airfoil, right? While this D curve, where we are talking about compressibility and incompressibility around the airfoil, so this will be different for different airfoil. So this is the critical Mach number. Next one is the drag divergence Mach number. So the definition of drag divergence Mach number is the Mach number at which drag increases abruptly. The moment you reach at that Mach number, drag increases abruptly over the surface of the object. So first your critical Mach number will reach, where flow over the top surface become the sonic velocity. Then further increase in free stream Mach number, right? It will be somewhat stable. Then again, if you are crossing that Mach number, there will be a sudden separation of the flow on the top surface. Separation leads to the rise in drag. I rise in drag, so drag will increase abruptly. So drag divergence Mach number is the local free stream Mach number at which drag increases abruptly in the supersonic flow domain. Right. So that is a very simple thing. So that is known as drag. Now, this is written here definition. The free stream Mach number at which last drag rise begins is known as drag divergence Mach number. So this is the basically theory and derivation related to your third and fourth unit. So I am stopping here. I will show you some